UFO testimony actively being stonewalled by the government, lawmakers say. We have lots of other news to go over today. It's time for another UFO news roundup, so get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like, please subscribe, share on social media, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Oh, and if you wanted to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, please consider becoming a channel member. See the first link in the description below. Okay, let's just get right to it. Here we go. An article from Newsweek. Lawmakers are UFO testimony actively being stonewalled by government. Well, imagine that. Congress is actively being stonewalled in its efforts to obtain additional powers to investigate U.A.P., also known as UFOs, according to a Republican lawmaker. Representatives Anna Paulina Luna, Jared Moskowitz, and Tim Burchett, who are leading the charge for a select committee, discussed the difficulties they are facing at an event on U.A.P. hosted by The Hill. Luna claimed efforts to get Grush the necessary security clearance to discuss classified documents are actively being stonewalled. Burchett said it just creates more and more conspiracy theories because our federal government is so arrogant and so bloated. They'll just run out the clock. And it goes on, I'll let you read it, but I think it's very noteworthy that Newsweek is covering this, the U.A.P. topic, in a very favorable light to the UFO phenomenon and giving some good information out to the public, not just a bunch of BS, smirking, sneering, condescending BS. Meanwhile, people are still talking about the George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell interview on the Joe Rogan show, specifically the talk about Bob Lazar and how people are containers according to the beings. Here's an article from Hal and Wise. Journalist reveals Bob Lazar's astonishing claim ETs see humans as containers of souls. The origin of humanity is perhaps the most significant mystery that the world needs to unravel. In episode 28 of the Joe Rogan podcast, the two current popular figures in ufology, Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp, discussed the possibility that humans were genetically engineered by a non-human intelligence for nefarious purposes, and some individuals within the government are aware of this. Knapp also mentions that he knows someone high-ranking who told him that human conflict, specifically war, is sometimes intentionally designed by malevolent non-human intelligence through manipulation. During the podcast, George Knapp discussed Bob Lazar and mentioned that Lazar was told while working on the program that humans were viewed by ETs as containers of souls. This may sound bizarre and fictional to many people. However, Lazar can be seen saying the exact same thing in this 1989 interview. Anyway, it goes on, and I'll link to the article below, but this claim by Bob Lazar is also corroborated by many, or not many, but multiple experiencers of the alien abduction phenomenon, or the non-human abduction phenomenon. The beings have told people this repeatedly, that they see humans as containers of souls. And there are other experiencers that remember under hypnotic regression, one in particular I'm thinking of, where their consciousness was transferred from their human body into an inhuman body. It was a body in a vat, and they looked down and it wasn't their body, and they're what was going on? And that is actually a very rare occurrence. Most of experiencers under hypnotic regression recall the hybridization program, where DNA material is taken from them, and eggs and so on, and that's what they remember. That is the bulk of the alien abduction phenomenon, at least as far as people are allowed to remember. But there are other projects, there are other programs that the beings are engaged in, and very few experiencers recall those other programs. It's very rare that you get this consciousness shifting memory. So either that's a rare part of the program, a very small part of the program, or else it's so secretive that they really go out of their way to delete those memories. So even under hypnotic regression, people are not recalling that. which makes it even more alarming if that's the case. So we really need more information about that particular phenomenon, but that is some corroboration for this idea that the beings see us as containers, our bodies as containers for souls, potentially. Does that mean they are trying to figure out how to get their souls into our bodies? Are they lacking a soul and they're trying to figure out how to get a soul, and that's why they want to hybridize with us? That's one of the theories that are out there, is that if they can become us, maybe they can get a soul. But maybe they have souls and they're trying to get them into our bodies, but they can't for some reason. We don't know. We need more information about that, but it is a fascinating and disturbing part of the phenomenon. And yeah, Bob Lazar was talking about this back in the day. Meanwhile, another mainstream news outlet, Fox, is still beating the drum on this. UFO hotspots include active war zones in cities hit by atomic bomb. Wow, okay. There's been a concentrated number of UFO sightings in Japanese cities linked to nuclear activity in active Middle East war zones, according to the Department of Defense. That includes Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the two cities decimated by atomic bombs at the end of World War II, and a northern town in Fukushima Prefecture where a 2011 tsunami destroyed a nuclear power plant. Obviously not laughing at the terrible tragedy, but at my pronunciation. Yeah, I'm not going to read the whole article. It quotes extensively from the lovely Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick. That's where they're getting a lot of this information for this particular article is Kirkpatrick, so I'm not going to bother reading it. You can't trust anything the man says, even when it comes to numbers and statistics, because he has been caught fudging those before in the U.A.P. report. George Knapp, revealed how he had fudged those numbers so that it appeared in the U.A.P. report delivered to Congress that there were more explained cases than unexplained cases. So you can't trust anything from Kirkpatrick, so I'm not going to bother reading the article, but I do think it's noteworthy that mainstream media is continuing to cover this topic in a favorable light. There are outlets still sneering and smirking at this topic, but there are a growing number of them that are taking this seriously, and that's wonderful to see. Speaking of an outlet that has kind of a spotty history with this whole thing, let's go to the Hill. The Pentagon's UFO office is sending cryptic alien messages. Last week, the Pentagon's new UFO office, AARO, unveiled its long-awaited website. Tucked among previously released graphics, transcripts, and videos is an important new document outlining the office's mission and objectives. Within hours of the site's launch, eagle-eyed sleuths noticed that an image of a spherical object divided into quarters appears on the corners of the mission overview document. Further analysis determined that the image is a stock photo titled Alien Technology in a Metallic Ball. With such alien and metallic ball references might otherwise be chalked up to a crude prank, closer analysis suggests that there is more than meets the eye. According to AARO Director Sean Kirkpatrick, the most common observations claimed in the 800 reports received by his office as of late May are of spheres 3 to 13 feet in diameter in white, silver, or translucent in color. Of course, again, we can't trust anything Kirkpatrick says, but, I wouldn't be surprised at all if indeed spheres are the most common observed UFO. 2 videos and 2 images of objects fitting this description, all recorded by U.S. service members, have emerged in recent years. At the end of the article, it says, it should come as little surprise then that beyond the alien technology and a metallic ball imagery, surreptitiously tucked away in a government document, the office's logo prominently features a silver metallic sphere. So apparently there are some Easter eggs on the AARO website. They're not delivering a lot of content, but there are Easter eggs. So is this Sean Kirkpatrick's sense of humor? I don't know, guys, but it's interesting. Meanwhile, speaking of alien abductions, Preston Dennett says that the implants that abductees receive might be measuring pollution. So let's give a listen.
There's a lot of good evidence of these implants, but what are they for? Is the million-dollar question. Well, that lady I interviewed who had a cyst removed asked them,
Mm-hmm.
She is a fully conscious contactee. She woke up at one point. She wasn't having missing time. She knew what was happening to her and would converse with the ETs who were happy to talk. A lot of people, once they move past the fear, start having very interactive cases or experiences. And she's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "We are putting an implant in you." She said, "What is it for?" And they said, "This is to measure the level of pollution in your body. Your bodies are polluted."
Mm.
And another person, and I started reading this in other accounts and getting my own cases, was told it's to boost your immune system.
Right.
And another said it's to measure your vital signs so we know how you're doing. And it always came along those lines. Now, this is firsthand information. This is not speculation. Yes, it is. I mean, in a way, it is secondhand because it's not me being told by the ETs, but this is what the ETs are telling the witnesses firsthand. And I mean, there's a case in England, Jason Andrews, who talks about this. He's another fully conscious contactee. He's like, "You are not touching my implant. I know what it's for." And he underlines this same reason. That's honestly what I think it's for, and there's good reason to believe this. One lady I did interview was vacuuming her floor, sneezed, and out came this little metallic spool. And she grabbed it, and she's like, "Huh, this came out of my nose. What the heck is this?"
Okay, well, that's one theory, right? That's what beings are telling people. Can we trust what the beings are telling people? No, the beings don't. Also, the beings do not always tell the truth. The beings have been caught lying on multiple occasions. They are not necessarily trustworthy vessels of information. We may be vessels of souls. They may not be vessels of information. But then again, you can't discount what they say either, just because they said it. I mean, they're the ones that know what they're doing, and maybe they're telling the truth sometimes. So maybe they are measuring pollution. Maybe that's what some of these implants are for. Could be. It's possible. In the Whitley Strieber case, he has learned to use his implant, or his implant has this ability to actually connect him to his wife, who is, his late wife. And they are able to communicate through this implant that he has. He even sees like words in the corner of his eye, and it's weird. But you can go read the book that they wrote together. I think it's called A New World. A really amazing book. I totally recommend it. It's a kind of a brilliant book. And but apparently they wrote this together, even though she is departed via this implant. So implants clearly have at least multiple purposes, and not just measuring pollution. There are other, ways that the beings use them, and ways that people can also use them. Okay, check this out. This isn't UFO related. This isn't paranormal. This is just a natural phenomenon, but it's badass. Look at that. It's a dust storm at Chichen Itza. Man, you don't see that every day. That is super cool. I mean, come on. That's awesome. That's awesome. Whoa. Love it. Speaking of containers of souls, the wand says, you know what else made reference to Homo sapiens being containers or proxy containers, biological intermediaries to the grays? This excellent response to the exobiospheric organism Reddit thread. Another interesting item, apotheosis incubators. I've actually done a whole video on this, so I don't want to rehash it, talking about that interesting autopsy or study of alien biology on Reddit. Really fascinating. And I also talked about the apotheosis thing. But yeah, let's go over what the Juan is saying here, because it goes with what Bob was talking about. Their religion reminds me of my Kundalini experiences over the years. It also reminds me of the container reference by Bob Lazar. Starting to think a third creator party is genetically tinkering to create apotheosis. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm a Texan. I can't say this word. Humans seem to be a variation. Perhaps we're the more individualized version, wild one-off. The soul transforms the nervous system of humans via Kundalini Christ consciousness, perhaps this is something the Greys cannot do, or perhaps even our creators, and we are their proxy containers. Or unfortunately, however, certain negative ET experiences I've had seem to point to them sometimes trying to thwart this transformation or redirect it. All in all, there really seems to be a battle or quest for the soul. In biology, genetics is a land bridge and an incubator for soul development. That seems to be the big game in town. Other more advanced beings are competing to own and harness. So are advanced beings trying to figure out the soul and how to manipulate spirituality for their own purposes? I guess that would make sense. I don't understand that. There are so many mysteries in the great beyond. That's interesting. He talks about Kundalini, and this is something that the beings can't do, at least the Greys. I've had my own Kundalini experience, which was an amazing experience. So I know that this isn't BS. Go see my video on that. It's an incredible experience. But what does that have to do with why the beings are here? I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Did the beings create us? Are they here for our souls? Are they here to study our souls or to learn how to manipulate their own souls? Perhaps, because there was one really interesting interaction that I read that the beings were telling people in an out-of-body state. This was actually an extended state DMT trip. Where this guy went out of body into this other realm, and the beings that he met there were telling him, hey, you're lucky to be human because you have this opportunity to develop a light body around your soul so that you can go to the other side without having to be reincarnated. You can be immortal, I guess is the word, right? Your personality can be immortal without having to be reincarnated. So that was kind of the idea, and that may be why we come to this reality, to learn how to build this light body so that we can go on to do that. Just throwing that out there. That's one idea. I'm not saying I believe that, but I think that is a really interesting notion, and that does go into this whole topic. Are these beings coming here for some purpose related to our souls, or to learn how to operate their souls? Maybe they are trying to learn how to build this light body so that they can achieve immortality of the personality. Just a thought, guys. I'm trying to figure this out too. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, give me a big thumbs up. I sure would appreciate it. Smash the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. I would love to see you guys there. If you could share this video on social media, that would be super helpful. If you wanted to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, please consider becoming a channel member. Channel members are rock stars. I really appreciate you guys' support. Thank you. Meanwhile, there's plenty of other videos to check out on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.